Alright guys, welcome back to another beginner episode today. What we're working on, chip and run. Chip and runs are one of the best type of chip shots you can play as a beginner because it has the least amount of risk for any of the chip shots. So if you're an absolute beginner and you're wanting to know how to play this properly, stay tuned. Alrighty guys, before we get started into the actual setup and playing the shot, let's talk about what club we should be using to be playing the chip and run. Now, you can see out the back there, I've got my hole marked out for which one we're going to, and I've got 3 clubs selected here. I've got my 9 iron, I've got my 8 iron, and my 7 iron. You can see all down there. When selecting a club to use for hitting a chip and run, our main goal should be to break our shot up into thirds. So the reason why we do that is because the chip and run is designed to be the least risk involved chip shot for us to play. And the reason for it is it's all about getting that golf ball on the ground earlier and letting it roll out towards the target. The risk involved with using our lofted chip shots, guys, is that the ball's in the air for a longer period of time or outside factors that influence the overall result of the golf ball. So the goal of the chip and run, get the ball on the ground as fast as we can. That way there's less outside factors influencing. So when we look at this shot here, first thing that I'll do is I'll break the shot down into thirds. I've got my first third, which is from the ball to, it's going to be about 2 meters onto that green there. Second third is from about 2 meters on that green there to about 2 meters short of the hole. And then the final third is from that last section we marked out there to the hole. And that's what I'll do. Every single bump and run shot we do, we should get into the habit of breaking it up into thirds. So after doing that, I've noticed that, okay, well, I don't need as much rollout as I might if I was playing a longer shot. So I can straight away rule out my 7 iron. I don't need that extra bit. Need it a little bit shorter here. So that brings me down to my 9 and my 8 iron. Looking at what's in front of me, all pretty smooth. Again, I'm still wanting to land it relatively closer to me, so I'm going to make that decision. Go with the 9 iron, a little bit more loft. Requires a nice smooth swing for what I feel like I can do playing to this shot here. Alright guys, so in terms of the setup, really easy. We want to make sure that we're gripping it down the club. I'll go all the way down to the bottom part of my grip here. It's not necessarily needed for you to be down there right on the shaft, but we want to make sure we're not gripping it right at the top. When we're gripping it right at the top, we have less feel over that golf club. So we want to get nice down and low. My indicator here is my thumb gets right down to the bottom part of that grip there. When we're setting up for playing a chip and run, we want to make sure that that golf ball is lined up back in our stance. So as we know from our setup video last week, when we're hitting our irons, we want them nice in the middle of our stance there. If we're wanting to hit it back in our stance, it means we need it closer to our back foot. So for a right-handed golfer, we need it closer to our right foot. For a lefty, you just flip it around. Now, we don't just set up to it like this, like we'd hit a normal shot, guys. We need to make sure that we get our stance nice and close together because we're hitting a smaller shot. We're not needing a nice wide stance where we're planted for our balance because we're not bringing the club all the way back up to here. We're only taking it about knee height at most, so we can bring our stance in, make it closer. I'll generally get it about that far apart. That way it's not touching. We don't want to have our knees or feet touching. That's because we're going to end up in a really awkward position there. It doesn't provide you the right balance you need for this shot. So, nice comfortable position where my feet are about 2 club heads apart. And I'm going to line that ball up. Again, like I mentioned last time, I point my toes out when I'm hitting golf shots. So I'm going to line that ball up with inside the back right heel. From here, because we're gripping down, guys, we've got to get a little bit close to the ball. When we're gripping all the way at the top, we have that nice fist and a bit apart. When we're getting in nice and close to hit a chip shot, we can bring it in nice and close. This shaft stays a lot closer to my body, guys, so you can see it right there. You can see it's way inside that one fist. So I'm looking at generally about a half a fist away from me is where the butt of the club should be there. So I set myself up, ball's on my back inside heel, gripping down the club, and I've got about half a fist away from my body there. From here, we want to take almost like a putting stroke, guys. We don't have a lot of wrist movement in our chip shots because that just makes it more unnecessary parts, more unnecessary movements in the golf swing. And I'm a firm believer of the best golf swings are the simplest golf swings. So we want to take a nice putting stroke. So our wrists stay nice and quiet there. It's going to feel like we're just rocking the shoulders. Just like that. So a lot of the time, guys, I'll see people getting the right setup, right grip, balls in the right position. They take a nice swing with their arms nice and straight like a putting stroke, and they'll still hit bad chip shots. The thing you got to keep in mind is when we're playing this shot, it's one of the most important things for all chipping, not just chip and run, is that we need to make sure that our weight is on that forward foot when we hit that ball. Now, the reason why it's so easy to do with a chip and run shot is because when we set up, we can actually set up with all our weight on that forward foot. So as you can see here, as I'm setting up, I can lift my back foot up off the ground. And what that does is that encourages us to bring that club down onto the ball, then into the ground. We're not trying to scoop it, guys. That's how we hit some really, really inconsistent chip shots. We want to drop that club head down on top of the ball. Just like that. So now we're talking about hitting it towards the target. We know that we got to land it in that first third. That's how we went and decided to choose the 9-iron as our club. So I'm going to go through all my steps like I did before. I'm going to grip down the bottom of my shaft, get it lined up inside my back foot, and I'm going to have my weight on my forward foot. From here, all we're trying to do is land it inside that first third. So as you can see there, I landed that golf ball in that first third there, and the majority of that time the ball spent moving was along the ground. That's why we want to play chip and runs, guys. That's why it's really important for us to learn this chip shot, because when you get out there as an absolute beginner, there's a lot of pressure on you when you're trying to hit those lofted chip shots. And if you don't have enough time to practice them and get comfortable with them, they can be a very, very daunting sort of shot to hit. And when you get around the green, that's when you start struggling. So that's why we pull out that bump and run. So we go again. Grip it down the shaft, line it up inside of my back heel here. And I keep all my weight on my forward foot, so I can check that by lifting my back foot up. It's all there. All I'm going to do is take that nice swing where I just feel like I'm rocking the shoulders like a putter. Just like that, guys. And if you want to get better at chipping, they're the sort of shots you're going to need to be able to play. Alright guys, I hope that gave you a little idea for all you beginners out there on how to go about playing a chip and run. In the end, it's definitely the safest chip you can play around the greens, and you're going to see the best benefits in your overall short game when you start using this a little bit more frequently. Now obviously, there is a time and a place for us to be able to hit that lofted chip shot, and I'm going to show you how to do that in one of the next videos. But until then, I want you to go out and practice those chip and runs. Let me know down in the comments if this helped you, because in the end, I feel like we're all about saving shots here, and that's how we're going to end up getting our best golf out of it. I'll also put a link up in the description down below, or put it up on the screen here, to the last video where we can go back and we see how we set up for our iron shots. So if you've just watched this video and you're still new to golf, give that one a look at as well. Other than that, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your golfing.